Throughout Ippo's retirement arc, he studied, analyzed and trained with Takamura to gain a deeper understanding of what it takes to become a true world champion. He analyzed Takamura's fight against Michael Goat to grasp the importance of the jab, helped Takamura and in some ways even saved him for his world title fight against the Super Middleweight champion Keith Dragon. And lastly, he had his very own workout session with Takamura. In that session, he undeniably pushed even someone like Takamura to his limits, all while Takamura gave him insights into the mentality of a true winner and what it takes to become a world champion. After Ippo had this breakdown over abandoning his jab completely in boxing, Takamura's last middleweight title defense was set. Ippo and his group finally grew some hair back and rocked that fade. They were also allowed to watch this fight from the corner, so the disciples could experience what a world title fight looks like from the best seat, and for Ippo to analyze Takamura's fight. On the night of Takamura's fight, something seemed off. For some reason, Takamura, who always goes for the KO whenever he can, was being driven back and getting beat up, unable to land a single punch. Ippo tried to understand why and came to the conclusion that Takamura's opponent was making small adjustments, whether by guarding himself differently or slightly changing his jabs to keep Takamura getting close. Kamogawa realized that Ippo was slowly grasping the situation, but Takamura shut him down, telling him to not think about Ippo since he will never come back to boxing. In the second round, Takamura still seemed to struggle, but at the decisive moment, he jabbed his opponent unconscious. Now that he could do whatever he wanted, he delivered the finishing combo. Then Takamura announced that he would relinquish the middleweight title to move up to the super middleweight division. And of course, he had to be a huge jerk to the crowd again, getting booed out of the building like always. After the fight, Kamogawa asked if Ippo had learned something, and Ippo realized the importance of the jab again. He told Kamogawa that he would never stop learning and just wanted to keep going. The boys started talking about how much Ippo has changed and wondered what it would happen if he returned to boxing, until Takamura shut them down, telling them to shut up because that wasn't happening. But at home, Ippo started experimenting with different jab variations and accidentally punched a hole in his wall. To cover that up, he slapped a clearly stating poster of Ricardo Martinez, the pound for pound strongest boxer, right over it. He admired Martinez especially for having the strongest jab out of every boxer. To make sure he wouldn't forget his thought, Ippo wrote everything down. He started analyzing the jabs of fighters like Mashiba and Miyata, both of whom use the jab at mid and long range, while Ippo's reach is too short. That's why he never relied on his jab and instead just waited for openings to charge in like a raging bull. And that's exactly why he took so much punishment. He even recalled his fight with Kojima, where his lack of jab was painfully obvious. He only won because of his sheer determination and rage to KO Kojima, rather than actually using his skill set to avoid brain damage. Ippo also analyzed how his opponents needed to throw jabs or punches at a slight angle to hit him. Then the thought hit him. What if he had realized this before retiring? Could he come back? He quickly brushed it off and kept writing down everything he did and didn't understand about boxing. And before he knew it, his iconic hairstyle had grown back, alongside with his disciples' hair. They were still training, and thanks to Takamura's fight, Ippo came up with a new training strategy, a numbering system. He would call out specific number combinations and the disciples had to execute them in order. The Kamogawa boys also wanted in, so Ippo let them join, but only made them spam the jab, which made them angry. To help demonstrate, Ippo started shadowboxing with an imaginary Sando, trying to refine the way he called out commands. But midway through the exercise, he completely changed up the strategy, which just got him even more shizzed on. During training, Kimura's wig came off and Takamura told him to be clowned somewhere else so he can focus. It was then revealed that his fight with the Super Middleweight Championship was officially set against the reigning champion Keith Dragon. Dragon is an orthodox boxer and a hardcore Mahjong player. His whole stick is that he's just insanely lucky, believing the goddess of fortune is always by his side. Takamura scoffed at this, saying luck alone isn't enough, and then asked the boys, who's not cut out to be a champion? Without hesitation, he pointed at Aoki. That serious, he explained that those who don't even dream of becoming a world champion will never be one. World champions can sense when someone's fists are full of dreams, and they can crush an opponent who lacks a goal without a problem. Luck is simply meaningless, though he did admit that fighting him in the ring is basically bad luck anyway. Ippo then had a discussion with Kamogawa, wondering why if Takamura was such a mega champion, they couldn't perform in the Tokyo Dome. They didn't have enough promo or money for it, but even just thinking about it put Kamogawa in a good mood. Ippo even admitted it would have been his dream to fight there, but since he retired, it wasn't possible. On his way home, he glanced over the monster line, remembering Kamigawa and Takamura's words, and reflected on the fact that he never truly aimed to become a world champion. Later, while training his disciples, Ippo ran into Takamura and wanted to learn more about what it really takes to become a world champion. Takamura, noticing Ippo staring at him too much, called him out, making Ippo flustered. Ippo then mentioned that Kamigawa's dream was to see one of his boxers fight in the Tokyo Dome. Takamura responded, "It's possible." He then said that both of them, Kamigawa's last disciples, should aim for the Tokyo Dome together, even though Ippo was retired. The same day, Ippo had Takamura draw a fortune card at the shrine to check his luck, and as expected, Takamura pulled the worst possible luck. Since his next opponent was literally the luckiest man alive, Ippo panicked and tried to bless Takamura with every kind of good luck possible. He prayed, brought lucky items, and even slipped that be healed from Berserk if you can spot it. But luck alone wasn't going to predict the future. Then disaster struck. Takamura was involved in a car crash while saving a kid. Luckily, he front flipped over the car and avoided a serious injury, but his already messed up leg from the bison fight got even worse. Ippo patched him up with some good luck bandages and kept close watch on him. But then a falling vase was heading straight into Takamura's head. Ippo reacted fast, punched the vase away, and then got knocked out by Takamura's reflex punch. And just when things couldn't get worse, a Typhoon hit. Ippo asked if Takamura should postpone the fight, but Takamura snapped, saying he was already in a rush and didn't have any time to waste. Then, the moment Dragon landed in Japan, the Typhoon vanished. Dragon just smiled, saying the goddess of fortune was by his side. He then went to train at Miyato's gym, where something about his fighting style seemed off. Ippo and the boys prayed even harder, then Ippo watched Dragon's old fights, and something still seemed off. That's when Ippo learned Dragon came to Japan to play underground Mahjong. Coincidentally, Yagi was apparently the king of underground Mahjong. The same night, he was playing against Dragon. Ippo needed a closer look at Dragon, so he analyzed his Mahjong playstyle. And don't worry guys, I'll spare you the 3-chapter Mahjong match, because let's be real, neither of us understand Mahjong. But from the way Dragon played, Ippo figured something out. Dragon's dominant arm was actually his left, meaning he was a southpaw in disguise. Determined to warn Takamura, Ippo rushed to the shrine only to be surprised to see Takamura already there. Ippo told him that Keith was a southpaw. Takamura simply smirked and said he already knew. He then said that there are some things in life you just can't control. After saying his prayer, Takamura accidentally pulled down the entire shrine rope. Before leaving, he turned to Ippo and asked, "Don't you want to try it again?" Ippo didn't understand what he meant. Takamura then walked off, saying he had to carry this weight alone then. The fight build-up continued with Takamura and Dragon facing off and promising a generational performance. But before the fight night, Takamura was found completely messed up, because he tried asking out Yamaguchi in a not so friendly way out. On the day of the fight, Ippo finally reunites with his former boyfriend. Miyato tells him that Dragon is a southpaw, but Ippo says he already figured that out beforehand and even told Takamura. Miyato then had an inner monologue, struggling to believe that someone retired like Ippo could notice that, and wondering what would happen if he ever returned to the ring. Takamura's fight was finally about to begin. He made his entrance with robotic wings that exploded on stage. Dragon was already in the ring, ready to throw down. They touched gloves and went straight at it. For an entire chapter there was no dialogue, just fists flying, punches dodged, blocked and absorbed. It was clear both fighters were on even footing. When the second round started, Ippo and Kamigawa noticed something was off. Takamura was slowly taking control of the fight. They realized that now, as a super middleweight, he was reaching his true peak, no longer held back by brutal weight cuts. Takamura himself could feel it, pounding his chest to show off his newfound power. Dragon thought he saw an opening, but Takamura countered clean and knocked him down for the first time. Now fully in control, Takamura nearly finished the fight right then and there, but the round ended before he could land the final blow. Dragon, completely shaken, realized he wasn't just fighting a man, he was fighting a demon. Desperate, he prayed for some kind of miracle to save him. As the next round began, Dragon threw a straight. Takamura dodged and tried to counter it, but misstepped, awkwardly landing on his bad leg. He went down and the ref started counting. Ippo instantly noticed what had happened. Takamura had put weight on his injured leg. Dragon saw his chance and showed no mercy, mauling Takamura and trying to finish the fight before the round ended. Back in the corner, Takamura got a slap on the back for good luck before heading out, straight into another beatdown. At this point, we got a flashback of Dragon's past, which was so dark it wasn't even worth discussing. Whatever he had been through, it had led him to this moment. He was determined to finish Takamura off, but just when he thought he had him, Takamura countered his left hook. With no other choice, Dragon unleashed his southpaw stance and threw a devastating left hook and tore some skin off Takamura's face. But Takamura was too fast, ended the fight with one final punch, sending Dragon crashing to the mat. With this win, Takamura became a 3-division world champion. Ippo helped escort him home, and before passing out, Takamura gave him some words of encouragement, reminding him that in life everything you achieve is done by your own hands. And when they woke up, they were cutely cuddling with each other. Ippo was insanely motivated, running past Takamura, who tried to scare him. Not one to back down, Takamura tried to outrun Ippo by shifting gears, only to realize that Ippo was keeping up, even while wearing the weighted wristbands, putting him at a disadvantage. They ran so far they completely lost track of where they were. At that point, Takamura, being Takamura, just grabbed the offerings to the gods and ate it, declaring himself a god in the process. Back at the gym, their competition continued. This time they held mitts for each other, seeing who could endure longer. Ippo's punches shook the entire gym, and his final punch was so powerful that it quite literally knocked the crap out of Takamura. Takamura just stared at his fists in silence, until he had to let it all out to relieve the pain. And that was the second part of Ippo's post-retirement progress saga. If you've enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more German Ippo content. I'm the Reading Crow, and thanks for watching.